Yeah, great to have your company on another edition of DXB today, when we shine a light on some of the extraordinary communities here in the city of Dubai, but also some of those things that might make you make a change to your lifestyle. Best time to do it was around about this time of year. Our next guest was struck down with severe anxiety back in her teens, in fact, and what saved her was the powerful effects of exercise. Then, 8 years ago, she decided to take her health up a notch and became a vegan. Please welcome Jo Hawi to the Studio One? No, that's the old TV show that we did, isn't it? It's DXB Today set. Thanks so much indeed for being with us here today. Great to have you join us on the sofa. Look, that's a little potted history of your life in exercise, but also that choice to go vegan. Give us some more details on that. Why the vegan path for you?
Well, I think I've been in the health and wellness industry now for over 30 years and very much involved in sort of triathlons and running before. And I think as an athlete, you're always sort of looking for that competitive edge. So essentially, I read a book by an athlete called Rich Roll, and this was about 8 years ago. And it's called Finding Ultra. And it's all about his journey from being sort of like a couch potato essentially into an endurance athlete and what he called a plant-powered diet. And I was intrigued by that, curious, and I said, you know what, let's give it a shot and see if I can reap some of those benefits as well.
So Jo, I want to just ask, obviously, what, kind of being an athlete, working in the health and fitness industry, and Tom actually just asked earlier, Chandan, about protein. And I know we were just talking earlier, and I said, what did you have for breakfast? Protein oats. So, and it's also a little bit on what Chandan said earlier, so it's kind of to both of you is this question. You mentioned earlier about vegan products, etc. How, if you are doing more of a plant-based diet and you're trying to do natural ways of enhancing your protein in your diet rather than using these products that are manufactured, etc., and supplements, how do you do that? And especially if you're an athlete and you're trying to build muscle.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there takes an element of practice. So if you don't want to go with supplements, then you definitely have to start looking at different recipes that you can do. For example, you could do like a tofu scramble in the morning. You add some quinoa and some beans to that to really get your protein uptake up. But yeah, I mean, definitely it's a bit of a transition in terms of seeing what you like, seeing what recipes are out there, and just really trying to practice those.
Chandan, would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100% agree. Just exactly that. Explore the foods, learn about basic nutrition. And it's just the more you eat in abundance, the more protein you're going to get overall, and the amino acids sort of balance out. So it's never an issue.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about that actually. Like, when you do change your diet, was it a gradual change or a sudden one? Because I know that a lot of friends who became vegan said that the first few weeks was the hardest because their body was adapting, so they felt lower energy, and then until their body built up that energy again. So how was it for you, for both of you?
I think there's definitely a transition phase, and any advice I would give is to somebody to just go into it very, very gradually. And I think Chandran touched on maybe just switching out one meal in the week where you would make it plant-based. You've got to remember that you're increasing your fiber so much. And I think that's where a lot of people get a bit stuck, because they start getting some maybe digestive bloating and things. So definitely you want to go into it more gradually, and just take that as a slow process.
One day at a time?
Rather than one day at a time, or one meal at a time.
Really?
So yeah, that's definitely the best way to go.
It's interesting. I'm glad you've sort of dispelled. I know I was talking to Jen about misconception. I'm glad you dispelled a couple of the myths, because the one thing I've heard a lot about athletes is, where am I going to get my energy from? If I'm changing my diet altogether, where am I going to get that source of energy? How am I going to be able to, especially for elite athletes as well? But I remember having a fascinating chat with Novak Djokovic, mic drop, when he went vegan as well, because he was looking for that extra 0.5% of performance. Went vegan, everyone's like, you're never going to play a 5-hour game of tennis, a 5-set or whatever. But he saw his performance go up as a result. So again, I suppose there's an element of finding what works for you.
Yeah, I mean, certainly from my own experience, from running a race maybe that I did a year and a half ago, I was still maintaining the same times that I was running in my 20s and 30s. I'm 53. So it just speaks for itself. You know, I still have so much more energy. You know, I recover so much better. I rarely get sick. Okay, I do have a cold every now and again, but certainly not like before. So, you know, it's made a huge difference to my health.
Because you were saying energy was the big thing for you as well.
Yeah, definitely, massively. I think a big part of that is the micronutrients you get from a plant-based diet, and eating that way makes a big difference to your body and your nervous system.
Go vegan.
Well, that's part and parcel of the episode altogether, yeah.
So actually, just to ask, so we're talking a lot here about plant-based. So what is the difference between a plant-based diet and a vegan diet? Are they the same? Are they different?
Like, it's a good question.
I know I've got my own ideas of it,
but
but
I think there's a lot of confusion, obviously. I think when you're coming from more of a plant-based view, it's more about the food. Certainly when you talk about vegan or veganism, it's definitely more from a more ethical standpoint. So the environment, the clothes, you know, things like that. So so that's really the difference between the two. I would say that you know, the vegan part is definitely the more ethical side.
Quick question to both of you as well. What's the biggest challenge for you? And the reason I ask that is we've mentioned more and more airlines are coming on board now, but not all airlines are, that's for sure. More and more countries are coming on board, but not all countries as well. We all know that, you know, even for vegetarians, going to certain places in Europe and trying to order a vegetarian dish is very difficult. What's the biggest challenge to sort of maintain? I mean, obviously, when you've got control of your home and control of your diet, etc., control of your routine, but breaking out of that, what is the biggest challenge? Is travel a challenge?
It depends where you go. Certainly, as Chandran was saying, you know, London is amazing. I mean, really, it is the vegan capital of the world. There's so many choices. For myself personally, we like to eat out a lot as a family. We definitely scour the menus a bit before we go out. I still think there's a lot of work to be done. For example, if we want to go for you know, my husband wants a steak and we need to go to a steak restaurant, you know, I want to have something more than salad and sorbet, you know, so I just wish that we could do a little bit more in terms of the variety, the choice, the chefs maybe just being a bit more adventurous with trying to practice a few more of these really nice dishes. So I would say that would be the biggest challenge for me is eating out and really just being satisfied, you know.
I think a big part of that also is one of the reasons it can be a challenge is due to chefs not being educated enough, restaurants owners not being educated enough. I mean, a lot of the times I could go to an Arabic restaurant. Hey, do you have anything vegan? They're like, no, we can't serve you. Get out of here. But half the menu's vegan. You know, hummus. Come on, tell me an Arab that doesn't like hummus, for example, right? So there's so many accidentally vegan. I'm going to use the term accidentally vegan, where it's not necessarily labeled vegan, but by nature it is vegan in any cuisine. So it's just about learning what is vegan, what isn't, and then sort of marking it on the menu. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.